Welcome to The Real Review on Damn Good Radio, and I am your host, Warbucks. The movie we are diving into today is War Machine 2026. Settle in, my cinematic connoisseurs. Lock the doors, pour yourself something aged and amber, and turn the dial all the way up because today we are embarking on an auditory odyssey. We are peeling back the layers of a film that absolutely shattered my expectations, rearranged my cinematic sensibilities, and left me breathless in the glow of my living room screen. Netflix, in their infinite algorithm-driven wisdom, slid a notification across my screen for a little 2026 drop called War Machine. I went in blind. No trailer, no Reddit deep dives, just a recommendation from a trusted colleague who looked me dead in the eye and said, Warbucks, this is the one. This is the one that should have had IMAX screens vibrating until the foundation cracked. And after enduring the grueling, visceral, adrenaline-soaked labyrinth of this movie, I concur with every fiber of my being. Let us set the stage. We are talking about a screenplay penned by James Beaufort and Patrick Hughes. Now, Patrick Hughes is not just a guy with a pen. He is sitting in the director's chair for this one. You might know him from The Hitman's Bodyguard or The Expendables 3. Let us be brutally honest, folks. Those films are popcorn fodder. Fun, sure. Masterpieces, hardly. Hughes did not exactly have a belt heavy with undisputed championship notches, but with War Machine, the man did not just step up to the plate. He pointed at the bleachers, swung a vibranium bat, and knocked this absolute sci-fi blockbuster out of the stratosphere. The cast? A murderer's row of talent. We have Jai Courtney, the legendary Esai Morales, and the bedrock of American cinema himself, Dennis Quaid. Quaid, as we know, brings a gravitas to everything he touches, from frequency to vantage point. We have got Stephen James, who you might remember carrying the emotional weight of Race and 21 Bridges, proving once again why he is one of the most compelling anchors in modern film. But the undisputed titan of this picture, the Atlas carrying this blood-soaked sky on his shoulders, is Alan Ritchson. This man is a supernova in Hollywood right now. Whether he is cracking skulls in Reacher, brooding in Titans, or let us not forget my own childhood nostalgia, playing Raphael in Michael Bay's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles films. A quick side note, Ritchson notoriously hated his experience in that motion capture turtle suit, but ironically, that grueling physical endurance test seems to have prepared him perfectly for the absolute hell he is put through in this film. Let me paint the opening frame for you. Picture the break of dawn. The cinematography here is gorgeous, utilizing the magic hour to cast long, haunting shadows across a barren desert. We see a convoy of army vehicles kicking up a storm of golden dust. The pacing is deliberate, methodical. They rendezvous with another unit, and out steps Alan Ritchson's character, known to us simply as 81. He is a towering monolith of muscle, exuding an aura of pure, unfiltered competence. He is a mechanic, an engineer, and he is thoroughly unimpressed with whoever caused their current vehicular malfunction. He demands to know which moron broke the vehicle and outsteps the squad leader. What starts as a tense, expletive-laden back and forth rapidly dissolves into the warm, unmistakable banter of brotherhood. They are literally brothers. The chemistry here is palpable, anchored by a matching tattoo on their arms, DFQ. 81 begins schooling his little brother on the intricacies of the engine, but the younger sibling is not interested in spark plugs and fan belts. He wants glory. He wants to sign up for the Rangers, to be the tip of the spear, fighting side by side on the front lines. 81 is pragmatic, a man who has outgrown the young, dumb dreams of his youth and tells the kid to go it alone. But the little brother invokes a childhood promise. We do it together. And 81, a man whose word is clearly etched in stone, relents. He promises, always, he says, the sunrise, the sweeping orchestral score, the soft lighting, it lulls you into a false sense of security. It is a beautiful moment of fraternal bonding. And then Hughes rips the rug out from under us. Incoming! A soldier screams and the world ends. The sound design in this sequence is Oscar-worthy. The bass of the explosions rattles your teeth. 81 is thrown like a rag doll by the concussive blast of an explosive. When he regains consciousness, the camera shifts to a disorienting first-person perspective. The audio is muffled, simulating his ruptured eardrums. Blood coats his face. A jagged piece of shrapnel is lodged deep in his leg. He limps through a tableau of absolute carnage. Legs blown off, bodies cooked, literal smoke rising from the charred remains of his comrades. It is a grotesque, unflinching look at the horrors of war. He finds his brother alive, but his breathing is a shallow, wet death rattle. Smash cut. 2 years later, we are on a bus and 81 jolts awake, his face drenched in a cold sweat, his chest heaving. The trauma is etched into every line of Richton's face. He wears a heavy brace on his left knee, a physical monument to his psychological scars. The bus halts. A sign reads, Ranger Training Base, Colorado. To honor that final fatal promise to his brother, 81 is here for RASP, the Ranger Assessment and Selection Program. From here, the film pivots into a grueling Full Metal Jacket-esque boot camp sequence. The camera work becomes frenetic, handheld, capturing the chaos of men being screamed at by megaphone-wielding officers. They are stripped of their identities, reduced to numbers. We see a young-looking soldier assigned as number 44. Stephen James steps up and becomes number 7. A talkative guy gets shut down instantly and becomes number 15. And then 81 steps up to the desk. The dialogue here is razor sharp. The recruiter notes 81 has applied 4 times, denied medically every single time. He barely made the age cutoff. Got a plan B? The officer asks. No. 81 replies. The officer tries to make him a team leader. 81 refuses. He just wants to survive. He just wants to cross the line. Enter Esai Morales as First Sergeant Torres. The man commands the screen. He delivers a bone-chilling pep talk in a cavernous gymnasium. Rangers are the spearhead of the United States Army. We are first on the ground every single time. He outlines the final trial, a 24-hour simulated mission known as the Death March. Rangers lead the way, he barks. All the way, the trainees roar back. What follows is a cinematic montage of pure, unadulterated suffering. Water hoses, blasting men, crawling through mud. The lighting is cold, the rain is relentless, men are dropping like flies, ringing the bell, going home. But 81, he is a machine. Now let us talk about Alan Ritchson's physique for a second. The man looks like a young Arnold Schwarzenegger chiseled out of granite. He is doing pull-ups, push-ups in the dead of night with nothing but headlamps cutting through the torrential rain. It is a masterclass in physical acting. We start to get to know our supporting cast during a grueling dirt road run. There is 7, the grounded, empathetic core, 15, the smirking conspiracy theorist, 57, highly strung but capable, and 60, played by Keenan Lonsdale, yes, Kid Flash himself from the CW universe. 81 is laps ahead of them all. Slow down, Superman, you are making us look bad. 15 quips. But 81's isolation is not just physical, it is social. During a cafeteria scene, the rumor mill is churning. The squad realizes exactly who 81 is. He is the sole survivor of the Kandahar massacre, the man who carried his dying brother 10 miles back to base and won a Silver Star. 15, the conspiracy theorist who earlier was rambling about a NASA news report regarding a near-Earth asteroid, asks 81 point blank about Kandahar. 7 immediately shuts him down, protecting 81's space. Let us take a quick detour to talk about Candidate 44, played by actress Alex King. For the first act, I found myself squinting at the screen, genuinely questioning the gender presentation of the character. Is this a woman playing a man or a female candidate pushing through RASP? It turns out to be the latter, and King brings a gritty, understated tenacity to the role that is absolutely stellar. Week 6 approaches, the psychological warfare escalates. We get this incredible, haunting underwater sequence. Candidates are dropped into a pool holding heavy dumbbells, forced to walk across the bottom. One by one, they drop the weights and breach the surface for air, but not 81. The camera lingers on him in the chlorinated blue depths. The sound design fades to a muffled heartbeat. We see his internal flashback, 81, carrying his brother across the blistering desert sands, his knee tearing with every agonizing step. The sheer force of will on display is awe-inspiring. Richson conveys a universe of agony without saying a word. He pushes himself so hard he actually passes out underwater. He is dragged out, CPR administered, coughing up water beneath the stern, judgmental gaze of Sergeant Major Sheridan, played with icy perfection by Dennis Quaid. Sheridan calls 81 into his office. This scene is a masterclass in tension. The television in the background casually spouts more news about that NASA asteroid, a brilliant piece of subtle world building. Sheridan and Torres lay it out. 81 is a physical god, but a psychological liability. He does not sleep, he does not bond, he ducks leadership. You are an engineer, Sheridan says, his voice dripping with condescension. You know even the most powerful machines have their limits, and I think you have reached yours. He hands 81 a voluntary quit slip. 81's response, a masterclass in stoic defiance. He stands up, excuses himself to prep for parade, and walks out. And then the death march begins. The candidates are briefed. They are told they must navigate behind enemy lines, locate a downed classified aircraft, destroy it with C4, rescue a prisoner of war, and cross the finish line in 24 hours. They have blank rounds. They have no communications save for one VHF radio. And the kicker, 81, is forced to be the team leader, with 7 as his second in command. They board the Black Hawk helicopters. The aerial cinematography over the rocky, forested mountains of Colorado is sweeping and majestic. They drop in. 81 sets his watch, 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 30 seconds. Follow me, he says, and they plunge into the wilderness. Night falls. The atmosphere grows incredibly tense. There is a bizarre moment where a massive, unnatural blast of wind and lightning tears through the trees, almost like the superhero Flash running past them. The team brushes it off as cadre playing tricks, but we, the audience, know something is fundamentally wrong. Communications are down, replaced by a sickening mechanical interference noise. Compasses are spinning wildly. By first light, they locate the target, a highly advanced, classified-looking aircraft resting in the woods. 81, suspecting an ambush, leaves the squad on overwatch and goes to recon. While he is gone, the demolition team blows the C4 on the craft. 81 realizes too late that he has found the actual fake objective plane elsewhere. He sprints back as the smoke clears from the explosion. The explosion did not leave a scratch, and out of the smoke, the aircraft begins to transform. Listen to me, folks. I have seen the xenomorphs, I have seen the predators, I have seen the T-800s, but I have never seen a killing machine quite like this. It is a towering, mechanized nightmare. It rises up, venting steam, its eyes glowing a piercing, demonic laser red. It projects a massive, sweeping blue holographic grid over the forest, scanning for threats. Once it locks onto the soldiers, the blue light snaps to a terrifying crimson red. Suddenly, a cannon pops out of its chassis, 7 screams retreat, and all hell breaks loose. The violence here is shocking, brutal, and completely unexpected for a movie that, up until this point, was a grounded military drama. The robot fires these red, rocket-propelled energy bolts. When they hit, it looks like a welder's torch sparking against flesh. I watched, jaw on the floor, as the top of a soldier's head was blown completely off. Another is launched 50 feet into the air, splashing violently into a river. 81 dives, tackling 44 out of the path of a lethal red beam. They sprint through the forest in a state of absolute primal terror, reaching the edge of a cliff. The alien machine casually launches a concussive cannonball at their feet, blowing the entire squad off the precipice. We are treated to a bone-crunching, wince-inducing sequence of bodies tumbling down a jagged, rocky incline. One soldier falls directly onto a splintered tree trunk, impaling himself through the chest. At the bottom, the aftermath is a symphony of groans and weeping. 81, popping a dislocated finger back into place with a sickening crack, snaps into survival mode. He silences a screaming soldier, pulls 57 off the tree trunk, and assesses 7, whose leg is mangled beyond recognition. The radio is gone. Half the squad is dead. The alien is systematically hunting down the survivors at the top of the cliff, executing them with cold, calculated precision. 81 realizes they have to move or they die. They ditch their useless weapons and begin roping down a second, steeper cliff face. The tension in this scene is unbearable. A soldier at the top is slowly lowering 7 down the cliff. 81 is at the bottom, watching his compass spin wildly, the magnetic field of the alien signaling its approach. 81 screams for them to hurry. Too late. The alien executes the soldier at the top. The rope slips. 7 plummets to the earth. The sound of the top half of the executed soldier's body hitting the ground beside them is the stuff of nightmares. The alien peers over the cliff. It drops its blue scan down upon them. They freeze under the rocks. The mechanical whir of the scan is terrifying. It washes over them, detects the pooling blood from 7's leg, and snaps red. Run! They flee, carrying 7 on a makeshift stretcher. 81, covered in 7's blood, experiences a severe PTSD flashback, his mind fracturing, but 7, beautiful stoic 7, anchors him. You got this, 7 tells him. Without painkillers, 81 violently sets 7's broken leg. They reach a raging river. The bridge is gone. 81, proving his absolute fearlessness, ties a rope to his waist and dives into the lethal rapids, battling the current to secure a zip line on the other side. 15 tries to cross with 7 on the stretcher, but the rope snags. They are dangling helplessly over the rushing water. 81 crawls out over the abyss, upside down, fighting gravity and exhaustion to hold them up. It is a stunning display of teamwork, but the compass stabbed into the tree starts spinning. The machine is here. It blasts the tree, sending them all plunging into the rapids. The underwater cinematography returns, chaotic and breathless. 81 dodges red laser blasts beneath the surface, the impacts churning the water into violent whirlpools. They are swept over a massive waterfall, surviving by pure dumb luck. They regroup on the banks, magically reunited with 60, who survived his earlier aquatic ejection. They stumble upon a cadre checkpoint. It is a burn site. The commanders are dead, roasted alive by the machine. It is here that 15's conspiracy theories are validated. The asteroid on the news was this alien drop pod. And here, in the ashes of their commanders, the emotional dam breaks. 57 loses his mind. He screams at 81, demanding a minute to process the trauma, accusing 81 of being an unfeeling, robotic Silver Star war hero. 81 snaps, he grabs 57, and the truth pours out in a jagged, heartbreaking monologue. He is not a hero. He never made it back to base. He passed out 100 yards from the perimeter. His brother died because 81 could not cross the finish line. The medal was a sham for the worst day of his life. It is the turning point of the film. 81 realizes it is not about his trauma anymore. It is about survival. It is about warning the world. They find an old rusted tank nearby the Guardian. 57 and 81, both engineers, put aside their differences and get the beast running. Sheridan slaps a ranger patch on 81's shoulder. Welcome to the regiment. Your brother would be proud. The film ends with 81 delivering a spine-tingling, inspirational speech to a new squad of Rangers as they board choppers to fight the global invasion. We see a final fleeting flashback of 81 hugging his brother, a smile finally resting on his face as he sleeps by the open chopper door. Title card, The War Machine. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let us peel back the explosive veneer of this film and examine the marrow in its bones. Because beneath the severed limbs, beneath the blazing blue lasers and the roaring diesel engines of the Guardian tank, War Machine is delivering a profound, deeply unsettling sociological thesis on the nature of trauma, the military-industrial complex, and the mechanization of the human soul. Let us look at our protagonist, 81. When we meet him in the second act, he is a man who has willingly stripped himself of his humanity. He refuses leadership. He refuses camaraderie. He barely speaks. He has internalized his grief so deeply that he has effectively become a machine. He is a biological automaton programmed with a single overriding directive: cross the finish line for a dead brother. The military, represented by the cold, calculating gaze of Quaid's Sergeant Major Sheridan, looks at 81 and sees a broken tool. They do not see a man in mourning, they see a liability. Even the most powerful machines have their limits, Sheridan tells him. Society, particularly the rigid structures of the armed forces, demands that soldiers operate with the unfeeling efficiency of a drone. Do not feel, do not mourn, just execute the mission. But what happens when humanity is confronted by an actual perfect machine? The alien in this film is the ultimate manifestation of unfeeling destruction. It does not have a DFQ tattoo. It does not mourn its fallen. It simply scans, calculates, and annihilates. It represents the terrifying endpoint of the very philosophy the military forces upon its soldiers. The thematic brilliance of Patrick Hughes's direction is how he forces 81 to realize that he cannot out-machine the machine. In the first half of the film, 81 survives because he is physically superior, detached, and cold. But as the squad is whittled down, as he watches 57 break down and demand a minute to process, because unlike you, we are actually human, the facade begins to crack. 81 realizes that his mechanical detachment is not strength. It is a coward's retreat from pain. To defeat the alien, 81 has to reclaim his humanity. He has to bond with 57 over their shared engineering knowledge. He has to cry in the mud next to 7. He has to accept that he is not a flawless hero, but a flawed, bleeding, grieving human being. It is only when 81 embraces his human ingenuity, his brotherly love for 7, and his emotional vulnerability that he figures out how to defeat the alien. The alien dies because it overheats. It cannot vent its internal pressure. 81 survives because finally he learns to vent his own internal pressure. He releases his guilt. This is a blistering critique of how modern society forces young men and women to swallow their PTSD, to armor themselves against the world until they break. It echoes the themes of Verhoeven's Starship Troopers or Garland's Annihilation, but it delivers it with the sledgehammer subtlety of First Blood. It tells us that our vulnerability, our grief, and our need for one another are not liabilities. They are the very traits that make us superior to the cold, unfeeling machines of war. All right, my cinematic sleuths, let us get into the weeds. Let us talk about the details you missed while you were hiding behind your popcorn bucket, because this film is littered with Easter eggs, technical trivia, and blink and you miss it brilliance. First, let us talk about the gore. I mentioned earlier that I enjoyed the brutality, but I need to highlight the practical effects work here. In an era where everything is a weightless CGI blood splatter, War Machine utilized practical squibs for the bullet impacts. When those red energy blasts hit the soldiers, the spark show was achieved using actual localized pyrotechnics attached to the actors' rigs, giving it that terrifying welding torch effect. It grounds the sci-fi elements in horrifying reality. Second, the alien design. Did you notice the shifting geometry of its chassis? It is a masterful amalgamation of Hollywood's greatest monsters. It has the relentless tracking of the Terminator, the high-tech hunting mechanics of the Predator, and the biomechanical dread of a xenomorph. But look closely at its eyes. When the scan is blue, the camera angles are slightly wider, showing the environment. The moment the scan turns red, the aspect ratio subtly tightens, creating a claustrophobic, inescapable framing. It is a brilliant subconscious trick by the cinematographer to induce panic. Let us talk about the compasses. When the soldier stabs his compass into the tree to hold the zip line, the needle spins wildly. This is not just a cool visual. It is a meticulously researched detail. The alien operates via a massive electromagnetic core, which is why the squad's communications went down with that weird interference noise early on, and why the C4 detonator at the aircraft initially seemed to malfunction. And how about the casting Easter eggs? Keenan Lonsdale, our boy Kid Flash, is in the squad. Remember that moment in the woods at night when the team feels a massive gust of wind and lightning and they think it is the cadre rushing by? That was a cheeky meta nod to Lonsdale's speedster past. Beautifully subverted later when we realize it was actually the alien's drop pod entering the atmosphere at supersonic speeds. Then there is Alan Ritchson himself. The man played Raphael in the Ninja Turtles reboots, lumbering around in a massive, heavy, suffocating shell. Look at the Guardian tank sequence. What is 81 doing? He is trapped inside a massive, heavy, green-tinted metal shell, fighting for his life, banging against the walls. It is a subtle, almost ironic homage to the very role he despised, repurposed into one of the greatest action sequences of his career. Finally, the costume design. Pay attention to 81's knee brace. At the start of the RAS training, the brace is pristine, mechanical, and rigid. As the film progresses and 81 begins to shed his robotic persona and embrace his humanity, the brace becomes caked in mud, the metal bends, the straps fray. By the time he is dragging Seven through the mud, the brace is barely functional. He abandons his reliance on the mechanical support, trusting his own broken human body to carry his brother across the finish line. Absolute poetry in motion. So where does this leave us? We have a film that starts as an emotional war drama, violently shifts into a sci-fi survival horror, and concludes as a heavy metal vehicular action epic. Netflix dropped a massive bag of cash to make this movie, and every single cent is visible on the screen. The graphical fidelity of the alien, the sprawling Colorado vistas, the crunching destruction of the Guardian tank. It is blockbuster filmmaking at its most primal. However, it is not without its flaws. As much as I love the character of Seven, sidelining Stephen James with a broken leg for the entire second half of the movie felt like a missed opportunity. He was the heart and soul of the team, the guiding light that kept 81 from drowning in his own PTSD. While I adore the fact that 81 carrying him at the end served as his ultimate redemptive moment for his brother, I would have loved to see Seven operating at full tactical capacity alongside 81 in that final showdown. Furthermore, the fact that this went straight to streaming is a cinematic crime. This movie was begging for a dark theater, a massive screen, and Dolby Atmos surround sound to make your ribcage rattle. I am putting this out into the universe right now. Netflix, if you greenlight the sequel and based on that global invasion cliffhanger, you absolutely must give it a theatrical run. Keep Patrick Hughes in the director's chair, keep Beaufort on the script, and give us the invasion on the biggest canvas possible. For its unrelenting tension, its jaw-dropping action choreography, its surprisingly deep thematic resonance, and Alan Ritchson's powerhouse performance, I am awarding War Machine a highly coveted 4 out of 5 on the popcorn bucket score. It is a brutal, beautiful, blood-soaked ride that you do not want to miss. And with that, the projector bulb dims, the reel stops spinning, and the house lights come up. Listen to me, my friends. In a world that constantly asks you to harden your heart, to put on the armor, to be the machine, remember the lesson of 81. Your strength is not in your inability to break. Your strength is in your ability to put the pieces back together, to reach out your hand in the mud, and to carry the ones you love across the finish line. Thank you for tuning in to Damn Good Radio. I have been your host, Warbucks. Keep your eyes on the silver screen, keep your ears to the speakers, and whatever you do, do not freaking quit. Good night and stay cinematic.